I started treating my boyfriend the way he treated me. What a surprise! He hates it. Haha. I never thought I'd spend so much time trying to understand someone, only to end up at a crossroads where my heart aches, but my mind is resolute. When I started this relationship, I imagined sweet days where two souls were in harmony, where I didn't have to constantly wonder if I really mattered to the other person. But the reality is much harsher. The person I love is not only an individual with unique traits, but also a maze of dead ends and locked doors I endlessly try to unlock. I tried, was patient, and hoped, but the deeper I went, the more I realized that there are things that cannot be changed with my love alone. From the early days, I noticed that he was not good at expressing his emotions. He could sit next to me for hours, but his eyes were often lost somewhere, not really reaching me. I wondered if he was interested in my world. The little stories I told about my long days, the hobbies I was passionate about and wanted him to share, or simply the moments I wanted him to hear. We talked a lot. The conversations lasted so long that I felt exhausted. I tried to express what I needed in a relationship: attention, care, a deeper connection, so I didn't feel like I was just a shadow in his life. I wanted to be treated like a real lover, not just a companion he accidentally dragged along on boring days. I tell him about the things I cherish: conversations about interests, curious questions about each other's day, or simply the feeling that he is truly present, truly seeing me. But it seemed like the words I said just passed him by like a breeze, leaving me with an empty feeling. I don't just stop at talking. I tried my best to help him. I was the one who encouraged him to seek therapy, sat with him when he considered taking medication, and even listened patiently to the times he talked about his struggles. Ultimately, both therapy and medication confirmed that he had ADHD, a condition I also have. I understand what he's going through better than anyone, but that doesn't mean I accept it as an excuse forever. He often says that when we are not together, he forgets to contact me, forgets to think about me. He said it was easier for him to connect with people in person, but when he was with me, I didn't feel that connection. Instead, he only shows affection through tight hugs, gentle back rubs, or other physical gestures. He's asexual, and I respect that. I appreciate the way he tries to be close in his own way, but sometimes I still feel deprived. Those hugs were warm, but they couldn't replace the words and actions I craved to feel fully loved. He often blamed ADHD, saying he couldn't feel or express his emotions clearly. There are times when I look into his eyes and see sadness, see helplessness when he admits he can't express his love to me like I want. I was soft-hearted, hugged him, and said I understood, that I would wait. But that waiting gradually became a burden. I saw him hurt by his own limitations, but what hurt me most was that I didn't see him doing anything to overcome them. He's sad. He says he wants to change, but then everything stays the same. I started to wonder if he really wanted to change, or if he was just waiting for me to keep accepting, sacrificing, and holding this relationship together alone. The strange thing is that I also have ADHD, but I don't let it control my life. I spent years learning to live with it. I set reminders on my phone for small things, planned busy days, took my medication regularly, and went to therapy weekly to keep myself on track. I know I'm not perfect. Some days I forget, some days I get off track. But I always try. I know what I want in love, and I work to get it, even when facing the difficulties that ADHD brings. But he is different. He seemed content to let things slide, leaving me the only one fighting for both of us. I started to feel unfair, feeling that I was giving too much and getting too little in return. Things came to a head a few days ago, when I reminded him again of something small but very important to me: a good morning text. How many times had I made it clear, over and over, that it made me feel cared for, remembered, loved in the way I needed? But he still forgot. This time I was not only disappointed, but also angry. He didn't try to fix it, didn't explain what problem he had, didn't do anything to satisfy that simple request. I remember a previous relationship when I loved someone who had to get up early to go to work. They also wanted morning text messages, and I scheduled them a week in advance so they'd arrive just as they opened their eyes. They know I do, they feel my care, and they appreciate it. Yet with him, I don't see any effort, not even a promise to try. I feel like I'm asking for something I shouldn't have to ask for. So I decided to change. I started responding to him with the same energy he gave me. I no longer proactively text him during the day to tell him what I'm doing or ask how he is. Oh, I forgot, I told myself with a faint smile, the way he often told me when he forgot something important. When he gets excited about something in his life, a hobby, a story, or a moment he wants to share, I change the subject without hesitation, as if what he's saying isn't worth stopping to listen to. I left his message as read without replying, letting him feel the silence I had endured for so long. I even told him outright that he didn't need to worry about the good morning text anymore. His indifference made it lose its meaning for me. After listening, he fell silent. His eyes were heavy, and I knew he was slipping into that closed-off state I'd witnessed dozens of times before. I'd once asked him to let me know in advance if he needed time to process his feelings, because I hated being left in the dark without an explanation. I'm a straightforward communicator. I always say clearly what I think, but he can't respond to me in the same way. The following days, I continued to keep my distance. I was no longer the one initiating every conversation, no longer the one trying to get him out of his shell. I let him deal with the coldness I learned from him. Then, one day, he tried to get me back. He said he had started journaling again, an old habit he had abandoned a long time ago. I'm really happy to hear that. I know it's his way of finding himself again, and perhaps his way of wanting to get closer to me, wanting to repair the rift between us. I smiled and asked what he wrote in those pages, hoping for a deeper conversation, an open door to understand him better and feel he was trying for me. But he only answered vaguely that they were free streams of consciousness, random thoughts to help him calm down. I waited, hoping he would say more, would open up a little, and would show me that he was really trying. But no, he stopped there, and I realized that if I didn't dig deeper, if I didn't ask more questions, he wouldn't move on his own. I'm tired of having to pull him out of that shell, tired of being the only one trying in every conversation. So I just replied with a cold, okay, and ended the conversation. I don't want to force it anymore. I don't want to force it anymore. I don't want to keep being the one shouldering everything. I could see how upset he was at being left out like that by me. He hates it. I know it. There are times when I catch his eyes looking at me, as if he's begging me to come back and be his guide, his comforter, the one to pull him out of an emotional mess he can't handle on his own. He didn't say it, but I felt his insecurity through the way he quietly observed me, through the way he tried to start a conversation, but quickly withdrew when I didn't respond like before. I knew he was feeling the void I once faced, and part of me felt pleased by that. But mostly I just feel sad. Sad because I had hoped for more, sad because I spent so much time trying to save something that probably couldn't be saved. I was emotionally exhausted. I've poured so much into this relationship, so much time, so many tears, so much hope, and I have nothing left to give. I want him to feel the consequences of how he treats me, whether he means to or not. I want him to understand that love isn't a one-way street where I'm forever chasing, fixing, and sacrificing. He knew exactly what he needed to do to meet my needs. I made it as clear as possible, outlined every step he could take, and gave him every opportunity to change. But now, he has to walk on his own, without me holding his hand and guiding him every step of the way. If I don't, he knows I'll leave, and I'm not saying that just to intimidate. I'm serious. I've reached my limit, and I can't continue to live in a relationship where I feel unappreciated. Watching him confused and struggling alone leaves me both curious and sad. There are moments when I wonder if he will realize my worth now that I'm no longer there. There are times when I imagine he will change, will run to me with a sincere apology, with a specific action, proving that he is willing to do something for me. But then I remind myself that I cannot live forever in false hope. I don't want to be the woman who sits around waiting for a miracle that never comes. I deserve to be loved the way I want to be loved, not the broken pieces of love that I have to pick up from him, but a complete love where I feel seen, heard, appreciated. I don't know where this will lead us. Maybe he will change. Maybe he will realize something and find a way to bring me back. but maybe he won't do anything, and I'll have to walk on my own. No matter what, I have decided that I will not accept less than what I deserve. I spent so much time trying to please him, trying to understand him, trying to keep this relationship from falling apart. But now, I want to spend that time for myself. I want to find joy again in the little things I once loved. I want to heal the wounds I've ignored for too long. If he can't give me the love I need, I will move on my own, no matter how lonely the road ahead is. I'm not afraid of loneliness anymore. I'm afraid of living forever in a relationship that doesn't feel enough. And with that in mind, I know that I'm ready to face whatever lies ahead for me, with or without him.